From Forex Traders Daily, this is your daily analysis with Ross Mullins, live from Richmond, Virginia.
Hello everyone, this is today's video analysis for May 13th, 2016. In just a moment, I'll be taking a look at the USDCAD, the US dollar versus the Canadian dollar, for today's trade analysis. But first, I want to recap a couple of the trade suggestions made over the past few days. Also, taking note that all of this analysis could change in the next 35 minutes or so. At 8:30 a.m. Eastern U.S. time, we have some significant U.S. data being released, so you'll have to watch that to see how that affects the market and if it changes this analysis any. But as we look here at the NZDUSD, the New Zealand dollar versus the US dollar, we've been studying opportunities to go short here on this currency pair. Once it broke underneath the previous support resistance zone, the blue shaded area at the top of the black box, you can see the red circle back here, resistance, blue box here, resistance, red circle here, resistance, congestion all around this area. 68.40, 68.70 is the area that we're looking at here for the New Zealand dollar. Take it back down to the 4-hour time frame, and you can see that blue shaded area here. Again, congestion, resistance, support, support. Once it got underneath there, we expected resistance. So earlier this week, taking sells into the blue shaded area, 68.40. You can see that trade going down here at the very bottom of the chart. 68.45 is the short. And you can see sitting 46 pips of profit right now on the trade. So a decent opportunity, looking to target right back down here into the 67.60s, which would be our next shaded area lower, the pink shaded area. And of course, if the market continues to be bearish, we look for it to go down through the pink zone, 68.40, and head on back down to the yellow shaded area, which is all the way down into the 6600s. Now, opposite reaction, if we get some negative data for the U.S. today, if it's significantly negative for the U.S., then we may look for the challenge back to the blue zone and break out above it. We're using the trade manager to lock in profit here, so we've already locked in profit. Can't lose on the trade. Definitely want to take note of the news coming up later this morning. Moving on to the AUD-USD, Australian versus US dollar. Similar situation. We've been going short on this currency pair for the past couple of days. You can see the trade going down there, 73.85, currently sitting 100 pips of profit. So decent opportunities there for profit. Take it down to the 4-hour time frame. And of course, the sells and the shorts were into resistance. That's the blue shaded area up here. It made that rally up there, found resistance, took a short, went back down to the purple zone, protected profit, closed some profit even. Now we're sitting 100 pips of profit. Next target lower is this yellow shaded area. Not the opportunity to sell it right now, but targeting 72.65, 72.45, the yellow zone on the way down if you're already in it. If you're going to look to get in it, it needs to go back up a little bit. Maybe back to the purple, maybe even back to the blue or the orange shaded area before we look to get into a short. We'll definitely watch that US data to see how that affects the current market. Moving on over to the USD-CAD, the US dollar versus the Canadian dollar. For today's trade analysis, we have been studying the previous downtrend. Not too hard to see that here on the daily time frame, but the current shift or change in the trend as over the past week and a half or so has been moving higher. Made a dip lower this week, down into support. Now we're looking for opportunities for it to go long once again here on the USCAD. Again, keeping an eye on today's news out of the U.S. could affect this currency pair. We're also been keeping an eye on oil prices because that has also been a significant player here for the U.S. CAD. Rising oil prices has yesterday caused a little bit of a fall down. Then we saw the market find resistance at tops of some ranges that we discussed during yesterday's live trade room, and it pulled back a little bit, coming back from the 27.90 level back into the orange shaded area. For the day today, if we start to see a slump or fall in oil prices, keep an eye on those oil prices. If they start to fall back down, it's very likely we look for the breakout above 128.80 and the turn higher back towards the resistance level, which is the blue shaded area, into the 3,000 level. So falls in oil prices, positive U.S. data at 8:30 in about 30 minutes from now would send this back above 28.80, heading back towards the blue zone. If we see a breakout above resistance on oil and we see negative data out of the U.S. at 8:30 a.m., we could look for the turnaround back lower underneath 28.50, heading back down towards the yellow zone or lower for the pair. So there's several different caveats to watch today. Oil prices at multi-month resistance highs and the U.S. data coming up. If all of that is in favor of the U.S. dollar, or negative for the Canadian dollar, let's say those falling oil prices and positive U.S. news, we look for this to break out higher. If it is break out higher on oil prices and negative data, we look for this to go lower. If it's a mix, if we get just a mix of that, we have to be cautious, wait for the right timing. I think a breakout above 1.2880 will be our signal to go long once again here for the USCAD.
From Forex Traders Daily, this has been your daily analysis with Ross Mullins. If you would like to get Ross's analysis on all the currency pairs he's watching and all the trades he takes today, join him in his live trade room by clicking on the link below. Please leave any comments you have about today's video in the comments section below.